back this year after winning state. White County, they've just, got those really big post girls. They've got some guards. They've got girls that come back last year that were up for contenders for Miss Basketball and everything. So they've got these really good post players this year and everything. And of course, Upperman has some really, really good players too. But that was a big upset for Upperman, of course. Like you had just told me, that was the first.
That was 2020. The ladies lost 60 plus points on.
That's crazy. I think that's a big win for White County, and that really, shows who wants to fight for the top in the first spot in this district.
Yeah, Upperman, like I said, most recent years, one of the tougher teams to play at in Baxter, and I know this game wasn't in Baxter, but it's one of the tougher places to play, one of the harder teams to play, especially in the girls' side. They really hadn't had a down year in the last couple of years. They won state 2017 and 18 back to back. The American State Tournament in 2020 went canceled. They were projected to win, and then the next year they were hoping to make the state tournament. Fell to York in the region semifinals. They were looking to win a state championship there, but then in 2022 they got the state championship they wanted after a couple of years. 3 state championships in the last 6 years, and coached by a pretty good coach there, Dan McWilliams, doing pretty good down there in Baxter. So on the next game, Cumberland County girls 62-30 win at Macon County. Like we said, Macon trying to find their stride in the district, looking to to open up here or for the second game against Livingston, one of the tougher teams the district to play against. But like we said, Cumberland County started off in the preseason poll for the coaches, one of the higher teams in the district ranked.
I think that the preseason rankings for Cumberland have never been kind of fair for them. I mean, last year they were really good and they had some really good players, and this year they've got the same players that they had last year. I think they only lost one girl last year that was a senior, and she didn't start. She went in a few games and whatnot, but they didn't lose any of their starters. They've got a really set team this year. Of course, next year it's going to be kind of hard for them. They always all those senior girls, but I know Cumberland County you can't just push them out of the running because, of course, they've still got those really, really good players. And that win at Macon the other night, that was, trying to show people that they want to stay at the top just like every other team fighting for it.
Yeah, Cumberland County, this is their second year in the new district. They were in a District 7 AA back when Macon, Upper and Livingston, DeKalb were in 8 AA, one of the harder districts. But Cumberland, they kind of the easier side of Region 4 AA back then. It was a very weird district. Cumberland County, Marion County, Grundy, Sequatchie County, all those schools. Cumberland, when they were there, they actually won 6 district titles in a row. They were looking for their 7th last year, but like I said, entering one of the hardest districts in the state, it's really hard to compete against teams like Livingston, Upperman, and White County. They're a really good team, and people are really giving them the credit they deserve. So let's move on to DeKalb County, 57-55 win at Stone Moore.
I think this is going to be a big year for Stone. Last year they lost a couple of girls that they had. Stone wasn't really, top of the list in districts and whatnot last year, but this year they're trying to prove themselves and crawl back up to the top. DeKalb, they lost Katie last year, and she was, a really good basketball player, went on to play in college and everything. And then they still have Ben Franklin though, and Ben Franklin was the one that got the last second shot against Stone, putting them up 57-55. So I think that Stone sticking in there in that game just really proves that they want to be at the top as well. I mean, of course, we've got one of the hardest districts, I think, in the state, and all these teams that we're playing against, you don't play a bad team. And so, week after week, you see different scores and different people playing, and you think like, wow, that should have been upset or something like that. But you never really know, because we've got a lot of good talent in our district this year.
Yeah, I agree. And even for 7 through playing all the way back to the 8 AA years, they were, DeKalb was in that district, and Stone Memorial, they're still in the 3A classification before the 2SLA moved it up to 4 classes. Stone's district before was Cookeville, Ray County, Warren County, White County, and Stone Memorial. It was kind of a hard district because Cookeville was very good at the time, and so was Sparta. But Stone, they had Tessa Miller, they made the state tournament one year. Like I said, last year especially was a big rebuilding year for the Lady Panthers. And Coach Mike Buck, he's doing an amazing job down there in Crossville. And this year, like we said, like Hallie said, they're trying to get the top of the district this year and compete with the top 4 teams. And so is DeKalb County. DeKalb is making a big statement win, 57-55 win at Stone. People kind of counted DeKalb out. They lost Sandy Fish, their head coach, and they had to get a new one this year. And she's doing amazing down there in Smithville. But so let's move on to the next one. Another Cumberland County game in a rivalry against Stone. They win 52-25 at Cumberland.
Yeah, that was, going in from that Friday to that Tuesday playing, two pretty good teams. Stone did. DeKalb and Cumberland. I mean, that's gotta be tough on them and whatnot, especially after sticking with the cab for as long as they did and putting up that fight. I mean, I know against Cumberland, they, weren't doing so hot in the first half, and then finally they started scoring some more. So they really showed themselves in that second half there. That's why, like I said, you can't count them out because, they have that fight in them, and their coach, of course, has the fight in them. So I think that game right there, I mean, Cumberland really proves themselves always. They don't stop, and they keep, going and, winning against Macon and then Stone. I think those are two pretty big wins for Cumberland there. But Stone sticking in that, it's really just us going together.
Yeah, like we said earlier, Cumberland County, you can't really count them out. Some people last year at the start of the rankings, they started Livingston, Upperman, and White County, but Cumberland County came in there tied for the first place going into the district tournament with Livingston and Sparta. Upperman was actually ranked fourth, and they went on to win the state championship last year. And Cumberland County, like we said, one of the teams you can't underrate in this district because they're better than people always think they are. They've got great starters and a great coach down there in Crossville. Let's move on to the next one. Another Sparta game, 92-44 win at DeKalb County.
Now, White County this year really proven themselves, winning 61-38 against Upperman, and then going right next that Tuesday, 92-44 win against DeKalb. DeKalb, like I said, is a great team. They've got some really good talent there, but White County, they just keep proving themselves again and again. And those post players, they're hard to play against. I mean, I play against them, and they're pretty tough, and they like to stick in there, get boards, put up points, and big points at that. Especially 92 points, that's impressive, especially against a team like DeKalb, because they've got some pretty good defense at DeKalb. Was that at DeKalb that they played? It was at DeKalb, so that's that's a pretty big win for White County. Them winning that high as well, but DeKalb put up some big points too. So.
Yeah, White County, like we said, probably the tallest team in District 7 for play on the girls' side, maybe in the boys' side arguably as well. DeKalb, like we said, trying to find their stride with the new coach, kind of a rebuilding year down in Smithville for the Lady Tigers down there. Their coach did an amazing job for a brand new season for her. But yeah, let's go to the boys' side of the things. Upperman, a 58-55 win at DeKalb County in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, Upperman last year, that was the team that our boys put out in districts and whatnot, and that was at Upperman, but they've always been, you can't rule out Upperman ever. They've always got a good team. They've always got a standout player. And, this year I think it's more of a balanced team. They've got, a good player here and there, so. But, I mean, against White County was projected to be top 1 or 2 of the districts this year, and Upperman wasn't. And so that was a huge win for Upperman there, and I think that them proving themselves at White County too, I mean, that's pretty big for them.
Yeah, it proves that, Bobby Williams can coach that team up, to compete well against one of the district's top teams like White County. White County and Stella Memorial last year battled it out for the top spot. And in district championship, we know the buzzer beater for Sparta by Trip Pinion hit that. But like we said, a huge win for the Bees. Bobby Williams always has them coached pretty well down in Baxter. Then like we said, they've always got a good team. They made it to the state tournament a couple of times. They haven't won it ever, or I don't think ever, honestly. But they're still a really good team that could really win in the next couple of years. Maybe not state, or they maybe win state, but so that they won district and region championships. Not the host sub-state, had to travel for sub-state. Either way, they're a really successful program in Baxter on the boys' side. So let's move on to Cumberland County, a 40-39 win at Macon.
Cumberland County last year, has some players that come back this year, like Jackson. Jackson, he came back this year and he started, proving himself again. I mean, he started last year, didn't he? And so he came in the game and had some big points for Cumberland there. It kind of shocked me though, because I don't know Macon as much as I probably should. I don't watch it as much as I watch Cumberland, but I feel like Cumberland, that was kind of an upset for them. Not only winning by 1 point against Macon, I mean that was at Macon County, don't get me wrong, but I think Cumberland, that was kind of an upset for them. I can't imagine what their coach was thinking at halftime.
Cumberland, like we said, they're kind of in a rebuilding year for the boys. So they lost 7 seniors last year. They were returning Jackson Reed, one of the better golfers in the state of Tennessee. And Cumberland County, like we said, kind of in a rebuilding year. Coach Identity doing good down there in Crossville with the boys. And then Macon, kind of like we said, trying to find their stride. They've been a successful team in 2017. They made it to the state tournament. These last couple of years, they've been
was another big win for Stone there, because the Cowboys, you know, you can't, like I said, this district is one of the hardest districts, and DeKalb County proves themselves year after year, and so does Stone. And Stone's got some really talented basketball players like Cade Caps, and he's averaging what? 20-something points a game, so he's out there, and he was doing that since his freshman year. I know that they've got a lot of talent at Stone, a lot of boys, a lot of height too. So that win versus the Cab is scoring as much as they did. I know Cade and the other boy, what was his name? Matthew Gilbert. I mean, they had points, big points that game. So I think that was just another proven win by Stone.
Yeah, like we said, Stone in the preseason polls, Stone Memorial was one of the top of the district, along with White County up there. And Stone Memorial, a very young team, but they're very successful to be a young team. Like I said, Cade Caps in his sophomore year, averaging 28 points a game, something like that as a sophomore. He was doing that even last year as a freshman, and you know he's a phenomenal player. He'll be one of the better players at Upper Cumberland as you know he gets older and he ages. And the DeKalb County, they're a good team, and they're one of the teams you can't rely on in 7 AAA because people didn't really count them much to be well in the preseason. But even last year, they come out like Macon. You can't really rule them out, even though DeKalb will pick up some wins here and there. But DeKalb picked up some big wins this season, but like I said, you can't rule them out. So the next game, Stone Memorial, another 51, 47 win versus Cumberland. I think that's kind of a shocker because you would think it'd be a little bit of more of a point differential between the two.
Yeah, I think Stone there as well, kind of like the Cumberland win against Macon. I think that Stone win there, I mean, only winning by 4 points against Cumberland. And don't get me wrong, Cumberland is a great basketball team, and so is Stone. But I think that win that Stone had, I mean, their coach probably doesn't count it as a win as much. I mean, Cumberland, of course, you know, fought to the very end in that game, and they had some really big points, and so did Stone. But I feel like that wasn't Stone's fullest potential in that game.
Yeah, it is also a rivalry matchup in Crossville. They call it the Battle of Genesis Road in Crossville. But Cumberland County, you know, they're not a bad team, and you know, like I said, you can't rule them out in this district, especially in District 7 AAA. And same for Stone Memorial, you know, you got to show up on every night. You can't, you know, in this district, you just can't let a team fly by you like that. And Stone Memorial, they play well. So did Cumberland County. You know, Cumberland County stuck with them. Cumberland County led them for some of the game. They kind of back and forth, but Stone Memorial ended up clawing it out to win. On the next one, White County 62-57 win at DeKalb. It's kind of about like the Stone and Cumberland game. You kind of expect White County to win by a bigger margin than that.
Yeah, I mean, last year, White County and Stone fighting for the first place battle in our district, and Stone here beats DeKalb 81-47, and then White County, of course, only wins by 5. So I think that win for White County, I mean, it's a big win. DeKalb is a good team, but you'd expect a little more of a difference in points there. I don't know, you know, the full stat line and who scored what, and if DeKalb's defense was really good that game or what. But, I mean, both teams put up some really big points, and, of course, White County, one of the taller teams in the district, having guys dunk even during warm-ups. I mean, you'd expect a little bit more points put up by White County there.
Yeah, White County, one of the better teams in the district. Honestly, and so is DeKalb County. Like we said, you can't rule them out. They're both really good basketball teams. White County, though, we're starting some key players from last year, and that's kind of what people expect for them to, you know, be a better team than they were last year. But I think they'll be able to do well in the rest of the season. Same for DeKalb County. And it was at DeKalb County, so that might have had an impact in the game. And some of the older people I've actually talked to said it actually used to be a big rivalry back in the day. You know, they were just one county away. DeKalb, White County. They said it used to be a big rivalry back in the day. So let's go look at some games that's happening tonight around the Upper Cumberland. Let's start with Cookeville at Warren County.
I know Cookeville, I mean, the boys and girls team every single year, they always prove themselves, they always show out. I mean, I don't know much about Warren County. I don't think we've played Warren County in a while. But I know Cookeville girls, they were outstanding last year. They lost a bunch of players this year, a few transfers and everything like that. But I think that game right there, I mean, it's going to be a good game to watch. Cookeville's always fun to watch, boys and girls teams.
Yeah, like we said, it used to be a former district matchup back in District 6 AAA. Cookeville and Warren County, they kind of considered a rivalry, but I think White County and Warren County is a bigger rival than Cookeville and Warren. Cookeville, like we said, on the girls' side, but they're really good this year. They were really good last year. They were returning a bunch of players. Warren County, they were really good on the girls' side last year. They actually impressed a bunch of people last year. You know, people projected Warren County girls not to be as good last year, but then they finished, I think, They were regionals runner-ups. I think they may have had a try for a sub-state game, I believe. I may be wrong. If not, I know they won the district championship. And they're kind of I think they have an easier path than a bunch of other teams in our area. They're in different districts. They are in a close classification, but not in the same district. And I think that plays a big impact on this game. You know, it's kind of like when Livingston played Creekwood in the same classification, but not the same district game. And that's, you might be able to see that team later on down the road in a sub-state or in the state tournament. So next, Sparta at Van Buren County.
Sparta, a good team, both boys and girls, really tall team. I know Van Buren, though, they proved themselves last year. They had a bunch of big wins last year. I don't know about this year. I've not been able to see or watch any film on them yet. But I think that's going to be another big game to watch. Both pretty good teams. I don't know size-wise for Van Buren, but I think, Sparta's best quality that they have, and one of their biggest competition the things that they can do the best in a game is use their height to advantage. So even against us, a taller team, we've got some height on our team too, boys and girls. I think that Sparta could use their height advantage on us, and that plays a big factor in every team that they play.
And for the height difference, that goes for the same for the boys and girls teams. So they're both super tall teams. And then Buren, the boys are kind of in a slump, only having one win this year, but they're hoping to get it back against Sparta. Sparta, White County defeated them last year, both kind of White County or Van Buren County. Trying to tie that series up recently. I think it's a close one, but Van Buren's White County kind of a rivals there in Sparta and Spencer. But same with the girls side. Van Buren girls were really good last year. They traveled to the sub-state game against Red Bull Springs and made it to the state tournament last year. Their girls did. They played against Red Bull Springs at Red Bull Springs. The game was actually in Macon County because the Red Bull Springs gym wasn't big enough to hold everybody that was there. But like we said, White County and Van Buren, that's a different classification game. Van Buren, I think the double A, maybe single A, and Sparta's in the triple A. So let's go into this. This is a huge game. Clay County at York Institute.
I cannot imagine how loud that gym's going to be tonight. It's going to be so fun to watch it on film and everything because York is one of the loudest student sections I have ever played at or anything like that. They're yelling at you, they're yelling at coaches and parents. It's going to be an all-out brawl because Clay County and York, they're big rivals, and I think that Clay County's got some really good students there too that are going to be, yelling at each other. The student sections will probably go at each other tonight. The last time we played at York, we didn't have a student section there because of COVID and not being allowed to have more than a couple of fans in the gym at a time. But, two big rivals there, two pretty good teams. I think York coming in last year, the girls being state runner-up. I think that's going to be big for Clay County to play against York. I don't know, when was the last time they ever played York?
They played them, I think, last year at Clay County was the last time they played them. But like we said, this is a huge game, like the girls' side especially, and even on the boys' side. And on the girls, you look at Clay County, they got big players like Abigail Head and the Burchett girl. Riley Burchett, yes. They're putting up big points for Solana, and on the York side, you got Gabby and Reese Beatty. 1-2 punch there. Reese Beatty, one of the better players in the area, especially as a sophomore. Like I said, one of the better players in the area. She's really good. And so are the Clay County girls. This will be a really good game for the girls. And same for the boys. I think it'll be kind of a measuring stick match for the boys due to the football teams. Both of them made it far in the postseason, the football teams. And, they're trying to get the boys back into basketball shape. I think it'll be a good game for both sides.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a battle of who's in better shape than most because, football, keeps you in shape the entire season and everything, but basketball versus football shape is two completely different things. So I think that tonight the boys' game is just going to be a battle against who's in better shape. When we played Clay County, our boys did, they only had 7 people on their team because half of their team was playing football at the time. So I think that this is going to be a big game for Clay County and York both. And I can't wait to watch the film and hear all the students yelling at each other.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. So the next one is obviously the game we're at right now, Macon County at Livingston, the first district game for Livingston.
Yeah, I think, like I said, this is going to be our first district game of the season. Of course, the home game, which is pretty big for us. We've had some big wins recently against Creekwood and Smith County. So I think tonight is just another way for us to prove ourselves, boys and girls. The boys have went undefeated so far this season, and that's really big for them. So for them to come out tonight with a win against Macon County for their first district win, I think that'll be really big for both of us.
Yeah, for both teams, for Livingston, it'll be huge. You start the district play with 1-0, and then you enter the district standings. Macon County, like we said, we talked about them earlier. Like the boys, you can't really count them out. Same for the girls, you can't count them out. You know, they're both trying to find their stride in District 7 AAA, trying to find where they're supposed to be, you know, get the feel for things. And Livingston, you know, just opening up district play. Every team in the district has played a district game except Livingston. This is their first one. It's kind of later in the year you'd expect to see it for the first district game. Like I said, you can't count Macon County out, even though people like to. You can't really count them out because you have to show up every night in this district.
Yeah, I know that they fought to the very end, and that's something that their coaches have taught them years past. Even though they coached last year for the girls left at Macon, I think that this year the assistant coach stepped up to become the head coach, so I think that that's going to be a big factor playing in tonight. You know, see if she still has the same coaching standards as the previous coach. So I think that they'll just fight to the end as they always have.
Yeah, so in the girls' standings,